All right. This is for the triathletes in the group. We're talking about brick workouts. So, again, you can ask, especially if you're newer, 70.3, this is going to be for beginners, intermediate, and some the more advanced athletes in the group here. But if I asked everybody basically, what is a brick workout, you're probably all going to have a different description of it. Some people say, well, because you run off the bike and your legs feel like a brick, or this workout is laying the foundation of good triathlon training, or it's an acronym actually for bike run in combination, some people say. So whatever, however, you want to describe it or whatever it is, it's just a combination of workouts. It's something that you're doing back to back. Mainly what we're doing is we're talking about that bike to run workout. Don't forget though, we are going to touch base on your swim to bike workouts because that is also very important. You also may see abbreviated somewhere in a workout of ROTB, run off the bike. Some people like to describe it as that, and that's exactly what they are. Typically, though, when I talk about a brick workout, we're talking about you're getting on your bike, you're doing a specific time and intensity, you're going to get off your bike, you're going to be intentional about your transition, and you're going to get onto your run and do what we call a brick workout and go for an X amount of time or mileage for your run workout. So now let's just get in real quick. Benefits of these brick workouts, right? So for beginners now, what we really want is that muscular adaptation. So you're probably, you may have done swimming, some biking, and running before. Now you're training for all three. You're concurrently training specifically, probably because you signed up for some sort of race. And you may have done these workouts on different days, but it is a completely different feeling, especially when you're new to triathlon, is when you get on your bike for a certain period of time, you get off your bike, and your legs are wobbly. You feel things that you never felt when you went running before, especially when you're quote unquote fresh. You haven't had any run miles on you for the day. That the more we do that as beginners, that tends to go away. Now, even for myself, after quite a few years of triathlon training, is my legs typically don't feel overstressed when I get onto my brick run. So at my point, for more of an intermediate athlete, is my brick workouts are really training my specificity for races, a certain race pace to get off of. It's also going to test how did my fueling go on that long bike ride. If you fell behind on your fueling, chances are, even if you go for a couple mile run or 20, 25-minute run, you're going to feel like junk on that run. But if you fueled properly on the bike, like you should be doing because you want to practice how you play when you go to race day, is you should feel good. You should feel fueled coming off the bike. And if you didn't overdo the intensity for the day on the bike, you should be in a good place to continue on with your workout and get your brick session done. So it does help dial in that pacing, nutrition, hydration, everything you should be working on the most important part, what I believe in a triathlon, which is the bike leg, because it is usually, again, the most time duration out there, and then you're able to really fuel yourself for the rest of the day on there. So continuing on here. So again, the running aspect of it is you're going to feel different going on a run anytime after a bike than you will if you just go out your door and go for a run. Specifically, I'm going to take yesterday's workout and today's workout for myself. Yesterday we did 50 miles on the bike. We had some intensity efforts in there, it was 5x5 minute efforts with rest in between. So we had some intensity on the bike. It was a specific workout that we did. And then we got off and went into kind of that 70.3 race pace run afterwards. But after I transitioned and I jumped on the run, my legs, they were used to spinning already for almost 2.5 hours at a high cadence. So your legs are warmed up, you're primed, and when I get on the ground, I have the muscular adaptation already because I've done many brick workouts year after year and season after season in race builds. So now it's more of practicing that, where do I want to be off the bike, pace-wise, practice those first few miles, which are very key, which we'll talk about in a second, and see, did my nutrition and fueling go right for the day. Then today was a long run, and typically long runs are early in the morning. Very shortly after I wake up, it takes me a few miles to get warmed up. I have to do some dynamic warm-ups to get the blood flowing. I probably would actually hurt myself if I just went out my door at the pace that I was running yesterday off the bike, just because the blood's not flowing there, the fuel's not in your body, you're not awake, you're not, you don't have, you're just not warmed up, you're not properly there to run that effort. But breaking up again, having that long run on a day after a hard workout like yesterday is also gonna run on tired legs, and that's training really that second half of your mid distance 70.3 or full triathlon, full Ironman distance event. Is that's why I like to structure that long run after your long ride day. You'll be a little recovered fuel wise, but you're still going to probably have some tired legs, especially when you get into further in the sessions that you're going to be doing when you're building more volume deeper into your plan. So, see where we're at with this. So again, the whole point of the brick workout is to do the sports back to back. So let's not neglect as well, though, at least once or twice, I like to say before a serious race build or for an A race, is you should get out there early, get a swim workout in, get in the open water, and practice getting on your bike. I often neglect it just because of time and the way my schedule lines up with training. But if you can allot to do that, it is very good, because you should do some efforts the way you're going to do them on race day. So if you haven't done any swimming to biking the entire season, that's going to be something new you haven't done in a long time when you get there for your first race of the season. Also, with the brick workouts, we're not only just working on pacing and that muscular adaptation, we're working on transition. Be intentional with it. If you're coming off, even if it's a 20-mile bike, 40-mile bike, 100-mile bike, whatever it is, chances are you're probably going to be doing this back of your car, wherever you're from, wherever you started. Plan your stuff as you would have it at transition. So for myself, I bring everything in the morning in the back of my truck. I'll keep my run shoes, I'll keep my hat, I'll keep my glasses, whatever it is, right there, ready to go as if they would be on the floor in transition. I'm intentional with it. When I finish my ride, I practice the same way every time. For myself, in T2, this is something we'll go over in transition clinic. It'll help you get off the bike a little bit quicker if you can manage, would be to get your feet out of your shoes already, on top of your shoes, pedaling into transition in that last half mile or so. So when you hit the dismount line, you're able to get off your bike, your shoes stay on the bike, you run your bike, you can run faster without your bike shoes on. You can get to your rack or your car, obviously, because we're doing training right now. You're going to put your bike on the rack of your car, click it in, open your car, and that's it. Transition time. It shouldn't take 15, 20 minutes, 5 minutes, too long, because you're going to lose what the whole point of it is transition. If you're not taking that much time in your races, you shouldn't be taking that much time in training. So try and be intentional with it. I know it's tough sometimes because you might be riding with a friend and they might not be doing a run that day, so you want to hang out and talk for a little bit. But trust me, don't waste that opportunity to be, to just have a good day and a good training time with the brick, because if you wait too long, it kind of like the return benefit kind of gets diminished a little bit. So it's a great opportunity. And as well for the intermediate level, I use it because typically if you feel good coming off and you're more of an intermediate athlete, you actually wind up running too fast off the bike. Have you ever, if you're doing these 70.3 events, you had a good bike, you felt good, you got on the run, you ran the first few miles pretty hard, you're like, wow, this is good, and then you just had this this runaway with your pace, basically, as it just started to go down. That could be a fueling issue. That could be, you just didn't fuel enough on the bike. That could also be that you just went out too fast. That wasn't your race pace that we should have intended on doing, and your heart rate went into, the threshold zone. You started producing too much lactic acid, you weren't able to clear it, and you start, the quote-unquote bonking, and then you start decoupling. What decoupling is, if you want to get off at an 8-minute a mile pace, and that was your goal for the 70.3, and then you shoot out of the gate at 7:20, 7:30, the next mile 7:40, then 7:50, 8:10, 8:20, 8:40, 9, 9:30, 9:30, 9:30, your pace is decoupled, and you're now just running away with, basically falling out. Probably because you went out too hard and your heart rate spiked too high. So it's very important to practice. If we're doing only 2 miles or 3 miles, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever, off the bike, intentionally get off. You might have to slow yourself down a little bit and your legs are heavy. You're going to feel, and you probably felt that on some of your brick workouts, that you're like, I'm not going that fast. Look at your watch. You're probably running decently fast. It's just a different feeling than if you went out on fresh legs for like a 5K, your legs are going to feel that much different. Even myself, sometimes I just like to guess where I'm at for the first mile, and by perceived effort, and sometimes I surprise myself with how fast I'm actually running. There's some good things behind getting a little extra effort in, going a little too fast in training that can help you build at certain intensities. But when you're doing race specific strategies for pacing, you may want to practice doing 2 or 3 miles off the bike and maybe trying to negative split them. If you're looking to run 8 minute a mile, 70.3 half marathon, get off the bike, maybe ease into it at like 8:20, hit an 8:10, and then an 8 minute a mile. Fall into your race pace. That's probably going to pay dividends for the rest of the run and the rest of the race that you're going to do. So again, that's a little bit of, that's intensity, that's pacing, that's strategy we talked about. Now the inevitable question is how often, how long should these brick workouts be? You'll notice a lot in the 70.3 training that I structure. They're they get more frequent within 2 to 3 months of the race, usually 6 days out. It's usually almost all your long bikes are accompanied by a brick, that run workout. But we really, especially 70.3, I don't like to do much more than about a 20-minute run off the bike. Once you start doing more than that, just the rate of return is not there. It also can lead to risk of more injury because you're running on tired legs. You don't have the proper form. We want to practice what we talked about before, those specific strategies of transition, make sure we fuel properly, make sure we feel well, pacing, practicing getting into a groove on those first 2 to 3 miles of the run course, and then calling it a day. We don't want to go any further because if you're just going to keep going and doing these long brick workouts, you might as well just sign up for a race and go do a race that weekend. I mean, just keep going. Go do an Olympic race or something like that. So you don't really need to go over and go crazy with the duration in the 70.3 training. Now we step up to Ironman. It's long bike rides, right? You're talking like we're going on some 80, 100-mile bike rides in peak time. I typically only like to do 1 or 2 longer brick sessions as we get closer to the race, and one of the key workouts is usually an hour-long run afterwards. Again, we're just practicing fueling strategy, making sure over that long bike ride that you did, you're probably going to be out there 4+ hours, that you fueled enough and that you're feeling well on that hour. Again, what I'd rather you have is do that long bike ride, get a short run on after the bike, make sure you feel well, and then the next day go for your long run, because chances are in Ironman training, you're going to have like a 15-mile run the next day, and you're going to be on tired legs because you just rode for 4.5 hours the day before and probably did a half-hour run afterwards. You're going to have tired legs. So you're still going to get a high rate of return because you're running on tired legs, but your body had enough time to recover where we can reduce the chance of injury and things like that. So I don't typically like to hit, when I first started, I mean, my first year of training, I wasn't really structured. I was just doing what other people were doing, and I followed what everybody else was doing, training for certain races, because I was just training. The typical thing you see out there with a lot of newer people is they'll do 20 miles on the bike, 2-mile run, 30 miles the next week, 3-mile run, 40 and 4, you call them, 50 and 5, 60 and 6, and then they do their half Ironman. Well, you might as well just did 6 or 5 more miles the week before, 6 more miles the week before, and just did your half Ironman that week. So you will get a better training result and better results by keeping the brick workouts as listed in the descriptions. If you want to test yourself and you want to break it up, I did this workout when I was training for Chattanooga 2 years ago. It was a multi-layered brick, and it just breaks up the monotony of long Ironman training weekends. So you have that another 80-mile ride schedule, and you're like, holy crap, I got to be out here for 4 to 5 hours and then go for a run afterwards. What we did was we broke it down, and I can look it up to see what it was, but you can also do, it doesn't have to be specifically bike run. You could go break it up a little bit and have fun with it. And you could go out and do 40 miles on the bike, come back, do 2 miles on the run. Go back out on your bike for 20 miles, come back, maybe do a mile or 2 on the run, back out for 20 miles, mile or 2 on your run. You're going to get this very large brick workout by getting up to almost 80 miles on your bike and 5 to 6 miles on your run, but you broke it up a little bit. You didn't slam yourself so hard in the run at the end, and it's just good. It kind of mixes things up and also gets that volume in. because that's what you're looking at in Ironman training at that point is your volume. It's just getting that aerobic volume up. So sometimes that's a good change of pace, that multi-layered brick, when you have this week after week monotony of these long bike rides. So I hope you got something out of this. We can dive in deeper on it another day. And again, it's about providing the right stimulus for the result we're looking for without overtraining, with reducing the risk of injury, staying motivated, staying ready for the next workout. Because if you smash yourself too hard today and you don't want to do tomorrow's other long workout, that's not cool. So hopefully you got something out of it. Stay safe, stay healthy, bounce that life 1 mile at a time and have fun on that next brick.